Hey scholars, so this is our second lesson in our asking and answering questions. So again, we are also doing this during our whole group time as we are looking at nonfiction material. Even during our read aloud, we're reading a nonfiction book and we're really focusing on asking and answering our questions while we're reading. So let's just review that real quick from yesterday. So when we ask questions, we are asking ourselves. So in your head, you're asking ourselves questions. So what do people in this country eat? What do their houses look like? And then as we're reading a book, we should be able to answer those questions in our text, okay? So today we're going to focus on asking thick or thin questions. So our question is this a thick question or is it a thin question? Or you might also hear myself and Ms. Starr say, is this a right here answer or is it a think and search answer? So thin means it's right there, okay? Those are our easy questions. They're the ones that we're like, oh yeah, I know that one, I know that one. And then the thick are our think and search. We have to look at the whole story and we have to really think about our answer, okay? So thick questions are hard to answer. They require text evidence, okay? Deep thinking. And sometimes you even have to ask yourself, why does the author mean? What does he mean? Or what do you think? Or why do you think? Okay, so those are our thick questions. Then we have our thin questions, which are our easy ones. So thin questions mean easy to answer, can be answered without looking at the text, can be easily found on a page, and they're very simple thoughts. Where does the text take place? How many species are there? Okay, so again, those are going to be our easy questions and they're going to be our right there answers. So those are all called our thin questions. So before we go to our text, let's just look at this real quick, just very simple. Thin questions. Questions that I can answer by looking at a picture or an answer with a quick read of a text. A thick question are questions that I have to really use my brain and look in the text to find out. Okay? So today, we're going to be looking at a story called How Libraries Have Changed. Now, if you are an in-person scholar, you have this paper in your folder. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. If you are an in-person scholar, you will have this paper in your folder. For my remote friends, when we get to the question part that you have to do, you can click on the picture and the image will pop up, okay? So just want to make sure that we know that for my face-to-face scholars, this paper is in your folder. And for my remote kids, it'll be in the image and you can just click on it, okay? So the first thing we want to do is read the story and we want to highlight the title. Okay, so Ms. Esther's going to get her pen right here, okay? And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight my title. Guys, the titles tell us a lot. And this one says, How Libraries Have Changed. Now, you might not notice a lot of change from your experience in a library, but Ms. Esther surely does from when I was a kid. You know, we think back to when I was a child, we didn't have computers, so everything had to be physically, like handwritten. And so when I would check out a library book, I would have a little card in the back, and we'd pull the card out. We'd have to sign our name and put the date, and then the librarian would stamp it so that we would know when it was due, okay? And the other thing was I couldn't just go to a computer and look up a book. I had to use what was called a card catalog, and it was this big box. It had these little drawers, and you'd pull the drawer out, and you could look for your book. Or I sometimes would just have to ask the librarian, hey, I want a book about dinosaurs. And then she would help me find one. Okay, so let's read our story. Again, the title is How Libraries Have Changed. Did you know a couple of decades ago, the way you found library books was much different? Today, if you went to the library, you'd hop on a computer, type in the book you're looking for, and be given a call number to write down and find on the shelf. So call number is this little number that's right here on the bind of the book, and it tells you where you can go find your book. Okay? After that, you take it to the front circulation desk and give the book a scan with a laser. This reads the barcode, marks it as rented on your account, and prints you a receipt. So here's the barcode, okay? So we find the book, and then the librarian scans that barcode, and then it's checked out to us. It used to be much different about 20 years ago. Instead of computers, there were card catalogs. These cards sat in drawers with all of the library's book collection information. If you were looking for a specific book, you'd look in the card catalog for the title you were looking for. On the card, it told you the call number. So again, we still use the call numbers, which you could then go find on the shelves. Since there weren't computers to scan your book out, the librarians working at the circulation desk took a date card out of the back of the book and stamped it with its due date. That was the date the librarian partner would have to bring the book back. Okay, so we're going to do 2 questions together, and then you're going to do 4. Okay, so Miss Esther's going to show you what I want you to do. Okay, so it says, where do you take your library books to check them out? Okay, so where do you take the library books to check them out? So this would be a thin question, okay? Because it's going to be, excuse me, a right there question. So it's asking me where, which means a place. So I found my book, and now I need to go check it out. I remember it talking about me taking it to someone. So let's look right here. After that, you take it to the front circulation desk. Okay, that's where I take it. So there's my first answer. Okay, so I'm simply highlighted it in there. All right, number this section. What is one thing that has not changed at the library? Something that has not changed. So this, guys, is what we would call a thick question. Remember, if I go back to that, a thick question is something that I have to use my brain and I have to look really hard. Now, I remember this first paragraph right here was about what it is like now. And then this paragraph is what it was like a long time ago. So do you remember anything that was mentioned twice? I'm going to let you think about it for a second. Do you remember anything that was mentioned twice? All right, if you said the call number, okay, so it says, what is one thing that has not changed? The call number. Remember, the call number is the little number on the bind of the book. So currently, the call number tells you where to find it. And then down here, the call number. Okay, so that's one thing that hasn't changed. We still use that call number to go locate our book. Okay? All right, so here's what's going to happen next. You are going to go to the next slide. You're going to have this story, and I want you to read it again. Okay? And then you're going to have 4 questions that you are going to go back to the text and highlight the answer. Okay? So you'll have 4 questions where you will have to go to the text and highlight the answers. Okay? All right, let's get started.